I love it. Give the next comic all the love you gave me and more. He's great. He's in town all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina. We love him so much. A friend of the room. Start clapping right now for Matt MacLean, everybody.
Yeah, keep it going for Joe, you guys. Keep it going for Joe. Excellent. Yeah, it's good to be here. I was working a little bit before this. I'm an engineer during the day, and I work with all engineers. And I have a theory. Let's see if you agree. I think every engineer I've ever met was a little bit on the spectrum. Yeah, a couple nods. True, yeah. If you don't agree with us, go up to any engineer, not me, please, but go up to any engineer and just lightly put a hand on their back. See how long it takes before they freak the fuck out. It's a pretty fun game. My record's 1 second. That's as far as I've gotten. And I think that's the trade-off. You want to be an engineer, you got to be a little bit on the spectrum. That's why I think it's weird. My friends now, they're like, how do we get our kids into engineering? I'm like, you can try getting them vaccinated, see if that shakes something loose. I don't know. I don't know how it works exactly, but I think kind of what's wild is like all the best engineers are way on the spectrum too. Like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, even Elon Musk all got diagnosed with Asperger's, right? So I don't know. I'm not saying we need to figure out how to give more kids autism, but if we want to solve this global warming thing, we got to start taking some swings somewhere. And I don't know where the solutions lie. Maybe we just factor it into the admissions process in engineering school, I think, Like, Kevin took 5 AP classes his senior year. Okay, well, Dave's had a train-themed birthday party for 10 years running, so maybe we give him a shot in the fall. That's all I'm saying. Do that. Yeah, I was just back in my hometown in northern Minnesota for the holidays in a place called Duluth. Yeah. Party City, USA, baby. Canada's Tijuana. That's what we always called it. And my dad up there has the worst road rage. About as bad as it can get in Minnesota, actually, which is still pretty nice. Like one time, someone cut him off while we were up there, and he just leans up the window. He's like, it's your world, sweetheart. Which, it's more like road sass than road rage, really. Like, there's still that boiling pot of anger inside, but the lid of Midwestern values just tamps it down every time. Even when he stubs his toe, he's like, God bless America. It's so close to real anger. It just doesn't quite get there. I remember I was in middle school and a kid wanted to fight me after school. And I went to him for advice, being like, what should I do? Thinking he'd be like, oh yeah, just try to talk it out, use reason. Above anything, violence isn't the answer. But he goes, Matt, actually, sometimes it's good to just sit someone's ass down. I was like, whoa, Bob, I didn't know you had the dog in you there. I was just trying to picture my dad in a fight of just sorry. That was fun. I also had to go to the doctor this week. I went in for ankle problems, and usually I don't like going to the doctor, but this time was okay, because he told me, he's like, the reason you're having ankle problems is because you're bow-legged. I had never heard this before. I thought he said bull-legged. I'm like, are you saying my legs are so sturdy and powerful, like that of a bull's, that my ankles can't support them? He's like, quite the opposite, actually. He's like, your legs bow outward like a bow and arrow. It's like, okay, so like a weapon? That's still pretty cool. I don't know. Kind of felt great walking out of there, and I was like, got to thinking, I'm like, we should do this with all medical diagnoses, just name them after weapons. I think that'd be great, You just walk in there like, I don't know what's wrong, doc. I think I got IBS. And he's like, no, what you have is napalm ass. That's actually... You're like, damn right I do. Thought I was lactose intolerant. Turns out I'm a goddamn patriot. That's fun. I also got insomnia really bad this year, having a good year. And insomnia, definitely the most white privilege disease you can get. Right? Only people with cushy work-from-home jobs are getting insomnia, I'm pretty sure, no one's working all day with their hands in the beating sun and then coming home I just can't turn my brain off, No one's mixing concrete all day and then coming home at night better put on my blue blockers, it's not happening. I think if we did some studies, there'd be like a direct correlation with like people with sleep issues and people who have winter jackets for their dogs. Is all I'm saying. I think we'd figure that out for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you've like dated at all recently. As a bit of a transition, if you've dated at all recently, you know, like asking for verbal consent is commonplace now. Like asking for, but it can be a little bit. It's like good, but it can be a little bit awkward, right? When you're like in the moment. That's why when I ask for it, I've started to try to make it a little more fun. I've started to ask for it the same way people introduce comedy shows. You know, or it'd be like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I said, "Are you sure you want to have sex with me tonight?" That's what we like to hear. We got a great lineup of moves for you tonight. First up, you know them, you love them. Please put your hands together for hand stuff, everybody. Chicks dig it. You guys can use that if you want. Go home and use that. Yeah, we got college football bowl games coming up. I'm excited for that. I like watching college football. I didn't know anything about college football until I went to a big football school, though. Like, I didn't know that the military schools had teams and could just play with everybody. That was an embarrassing day for me when I realized that. I was just excited looking at the schedule. I'm like, all right, guys, who we got next? Looks like BYU, then Idaho State, then the Army? Jesus Christ. Like the U.S. Army? That doesn't seem right. They're like, why? Because it's non-conference? I'm like, it's a war crime. I'm pretty sure. That's no expert, but doesn't seem fair. And then they told me, like, none of those military schools are any good. Like, they're never in the top 25, which that's wild to me. How are these guys, like, studying, you know, military strategy and, you know, combat all week, and then somehow on the weekend they're just like, yeah, we just couldn't figure out Wisconsin's run game. I don't know. I don't know to tell you. It's got to bother some of them, don't you think? Where it's like years later, they're like, yeah, sure, me and the fellas found Bin Laden, but for 4 years, we couldn't find the damn end zone. And that's what keeps me up at night. It's kind of concerning as a citizen, isn't it? A little bit? Where it's like, how you trust you guys to take on North Korea when you can't even beat North Dakota? It's just not a good look, you know? I'll leave you guys on this. I also went to a wedding when I was back home. You ever go to one of those weddings that's so fancy, you're like, are you sure we're invited to this thing? I feel like we shouldn't be here. This bouquet costs more than my rent, I think. I don't know if this is for us. So everyone was so fancy. I just had nothing to contribute all night until finally, like, one lady brought it down a little bit. She's like, actually, we had it pretty rough growing up. A lot of the time, we didn't have enough forks to go around. It's like, damn, that's a specific kind of poor. That's... You guys more of a spork family, or what's going on there? She's like, no, we had dinner forks, but then we had to keep those for our dessert forks, too. I was like, yeah, like a commoner. Could you imagine? I was like, what's next? Using a champagne glass for Chardonnay? I mean, we're not animals here. We're not. All right, you guys have been great. Thanks so much.
And as someone who hosts a lot of comedy shows and occasionally has sex, that one joke really struck a chord with me. So we love you. Welcome back, Matt. Matt MacLean, everybody. Let him hear it. We're going to keep this show